Welcome back, guys. Another game week in the bag. And this one finally gave us some players worth talking about. Because let's be honest, the last couple of rounds felt like we were all just picking through scraps. Cheap defenders getting clean sheets and the occasional lucky penalty. But this week, we actually got some proper FPL performances that might shake things up going forward. Now, don't get me wrong, not everyone had a good time. If you loaded up on Everton or Chelsea players hoping for bargains, well, you're probably still staring at your red arrow and wondering why you play this game. But that's the beauty of FPL. Some teams burn you and others bail you out. And this week, it was clubs like Manchester City, Spurs, Bournemouth, and even Arsenal stepping up to give us some actual FPL talking points. We'll break down some of the top performers of the week, look at who's actually worth transferring in, and who might just be having their one-week wonder moment. And of course, I'll give you my brutally honest take on whether these guys are long-term options or just traps waiting to ruin your season. So sit tight, grab your coffee, and let's jump into the players who caught our eye this game week. Let's start with Arsenal then, a comfortable 3-0 win at home against Forest, and it really felt like they were in cruise control for most of that game. The standout, no doubt about it, Zubimendi. 2 goals, his first ever from outside the box, and one of them was an absolute rocket. He ends on 16 points and suddenly, everyone's talking about him. But let's be real, this guy was brought in to break up play, sit deep, and basically do the dirty work. Performances like this are great to watch, but from an FPL perspective, I wouldn't touch him. Cool moment, great haul, but not someone you want clogging up your midfield slot. And then we've got Gyökeres, who found the net and walked away with 6 points. Now, I know some people will immediately look at that and go, ooh, starting striker at Arsenal, 6 points, let's bring him in. And sure, you'll probably get a decent trickle of returns over the season, but I'm still not convinced he's the real deal for FPL. The reality is, outside of João Pedro and Haaland, there aren't many forwards who look exciting right now. So Gyökeres kind of falls into that weird middle ground. Decent option, but probably not the guy that changes your season. Next up, Eberechi Eze. His first proper start for Arsenal after signing, and I thought he looked solid without being spectacular. He grabbed an assist before coming off in the 78th minute, 6 points total. He's definitely one to keep an eye on, there's quality there, and if he nails down a spot in that team, he could turn into an option. But for now, it feels more like a wait and see than a must-buy. And finally, the Arsenal defense. Pick whoever you like, really. They're all reliable. But for me, the standout is still Gabriel. He's safe in terms of minutes. He's a monster on set pieces. And he showed that again this week with 9 points. Arsenal look like they're going to rack up clean sheets again this season. And Gabriel offers that extra attacking threat on top. If you're looking for a defender who gives you peace of mind and the odd big haul, he's your man. Now on to Manchester City, and what a performance that was. A 3-0 demolition of United that honestly could have been 5 or 6 if City felt like turning the screw a bit harder. And of course, the man of the moment, Erling Haaland. 2 goals, 13 points with bonus, and just looking absolutely unplayable at the moment. This is the version of Haaland that makes you terrified to go without him. He doesn't just get chances, he racks them up in bulk, and he makes it look effortless. For those of us still holding on to Salah as our premium pick, the Salah to Haaland switch is starting to look like an inevitability. Salah is still Salah, he finds points even when Liverpool look flat, but Haaland is thriving in that sky blue shirt, scoring for fun, and that's the kind of player that can drag your rank up single-handedly. Then we've got Phil Foden, the other goal scorer on the day. He looked really sharp, scored with a header, which, let's be honest, isn't exactly what you associate with Foden, and ended up with 12 points. Now, here's the thing with Foden. We know how good he is, and we've seen him go on ridiculous runs of form before where he becomes essential. But it still feels a little too early to call this the start of one of those runs. If you're bold, you could try to jump on in early. But for most of us, it's probably worth just keeping an eye and waiting for a bit more consistency. Still, if he kicks on, he's going to cause serious headaches for non-owners. And then there's Jeremy Doku. What a player to watch. 2 assists, 10 points, and honestly, he looked like he could beat any defender on the planet with the ball at his feet. The pace, the dribbling, the directness, it's everything you want in an attacking asset. The downside, of course, is the dreaded minutes risk. With City, that's always the caveat. But if you're the type of FPL manager who likes to punt on explosive players and you can stomach the occasional one-pointer, then Doku might just be your guy. He won't tick along quietly, but when he hauls, it'll be big. Next up, Spurs. A 3-0 win away at West Ham, and honestly, they just looked in control from start to finish. Defensively, they were rock solid, and going forward, they carried a real threat, which is exactly what you want when you're scouting for FPL assets. Starting with Van de Ven, who was the star of the show in defense. A goal, a clean sheet, 14 points, and the guy is only 4.6 million. That is an absolute steal if you're looking to strengthen your backline. Spurs as a whole look really solid at the back right now, so Van de Ven gives you a cheap entry into a defense that's clearly improving. If he keeps this up, he's not just a budget enabler. He's going to be one of those players you see sitting in everyone's team by Christmas. Then we've got Romero, who also impressed. He grabbed an assist, finished on 12 points, and what really stood out is how much of a threat Spurs looked on set pieces. They're not just relying on clean sheets anymore. Their defenders are actually chipping in with goals and assists. Romero, in particular, has that knack for getting involved. And if this continues, he could be a very smart pick for anyone who wants to double up at the back. But let's not just talk defenders. Here's an opinion that might be a little unpopular. I actually think Matthias Sarr is undervalued. On paper, you think of him as a defensive midfielder, someone you'd never touch in FPL. But under Thomas Frank, he's clearly been given license to push forward and make those late runs into the box. He scored in this game, picked up 8 points, and at just 5.0 million, he's the sort of player who could quietly rack up value while everyone else overlooksing. The fixtures are great too, which only helps his case. And finally, a quick mention for Xavi Simons. His first start for Spurs, and while he didn't light the world on fire, you can see the potential. There's clearly quality there, and once he properly beds into this side, he could become an option. For now though, it's definitely a wait and see. No need to jump early. Let's shift focus now to a few interesting midfield picks that popped up this week, starting with a player I can't stop talking about, Antoine Semenyo. Another brilliant performance. 13 points this time with a goal and an assist. And the thing is, it's not just a one-off. He's consistently passing the eye test. Bournemouth as a team looks sharp, and he's showing that he can deliver against a variety of opponents. He's direct, he's clinical, and he doesn't shy away from the tough fixtures either. At his price, that kind of reliability is absolute gold. If you don't have him already, you're probably sick of hearing his name by now, but there's a reason for that. Next up, let's talk about Moises Caicedo. Now, here's a player most of us would have written off as just a defensive midfielder, the type of guy who runs around, wins tackles, and never comes close to your FPL squad. But the way Chelsea is setting up with this double pivot, suddenly he's finding himself popping up higher up the pitch. He scored in this match, ended with 12 points, and at just 5.5 million, he's sneaky good value. And don't forget, he's also getting rewarded for defensive contributions with the new scoring system. So you've got this perfect storm where he can give you both a solid base and the occasional attacking return. If this continues, it might actually be one of those hidden gems people look back on as a season-defining pick. And then we have Cole Palmer, the player that most people sold, only to watch him come straight back and remind us why he was so popular in the first place. Subbed on in the second half, scores a goal, finishes on 7 points. Classic Palmer. The question now is he back earlier than expected? And do we need to start planning for him again? At his price, if he nails down consistent minutes, he's going to become a problem for non-owners. He's still not quite a must-have yet, but if this is the start of him getting back to form, you'll want to be ahead of the curve rather than scrambling to fit him in later. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this one. Some really big performances this game week, and plenty to think about when it comes to transfers moving forward. For me, the main takeaways are Spurs looking like the real deal, the Salah to Haaland switch creeping closer and closer, and of course, keeping an eye on rotation now that European football is back. If you've enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that like button, drop a comment with your thoughts, who impressed you most this week, and who's on your watch list. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the upcoming videos. Thanks for watching as always, and I'll catch you in the next one.